Today we review Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Change is Constant. Let's take a look.
There are hobbyists among us, geniuses with the ability to play any game they want to. In 1978, a corporation known as The Interior isolated a young hobbyist named John and exploited his genius for their entertainment.
Then one day, their hobbyist ran away. Today we're taking a look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Change is Constant, reviewing this game out of the Adventure Lines system from IDW. And the first thing that I am going to mention is the box. And that is one of the things that I don't think is talked about a lot when it comes to reviews. And one of the things that I absolutely love about the box is its consistency. When we look at it and the old game, they are identical. Let's see here. Let me put this right here. Let's zoom out a little. Here we go. We can see they are identical, and even if I pull out the extra game, or because within this one they kind of broke it out into two, each fully intact, they're fully functioning games, but they kind of broke it up into two smaller, more manageable. But you can see each one, they are identical, so their shelf presence works perfectly. They look great together, even to the point where even the mini expansions are half box size. So when you put those, you put the one, and it kind of just breaks it out. And again, makes it that very manageable, very common thing. And that I absolutely love about this game, that they took that into consideration when it comes to the game itself. The next thing that we have to mention when we're talking about the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game by IDW is this whole Adventures Universal Game System. This right here is one of the huge advantages. This alone is almost a reason to buy this incarnation of the game. What they have done is they have made some universal rules, some very similar universal components, universal game mechanisms, so they work here in this game, but then they also are the same for its add-on. For the second game within the series, and it also is for the all mini expansions that they have done. But not only that, but as they add additional adventure universal game systems, like the one for Batman, which I believe is starting today, once that comes out, it'll be under the same system. It can be incorporated onto here. So now all of a sudden, you can play your game and bring in, characters and components from those other ones. And again, that just adds to that replayability of this one, where you go through this game, you play all of the scenarios, you have an absolute blast. But then let's say you get the Batman one, and all of a sudden you swap out, say, Mikey and Donnie, or maybe you want to leave Donnie because he's kind of Batman-esque, but you leave Leo and Donnie, and then you bring in Batman and Robin, and that's your four-man team. How cool is that? How much fun does that sound? So this whole universal game system, that alone almost makes this an absolute fantastic and a must-get, must-add to your collection. Now, before I get into the heart of the review for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Change is Constant, I did think I needed to throw out one small little disclaimer, and that is that I am an absolute huge Turtles fan. And so you will probably see that in my excitement for this game, in my review. I probably am going to end up rating this a little higher than maybe some other people, being that I am such a huge Turtle fan, and they do such a great thematic job of bringing the Turtles to a board game. With that being said, let's go on and see how the game is. Here I have the basic setup for the first battle within the game. I'm not really going to get too much into the whole what I did here in the whole setup or how to play in this video. This mainly is just a review, but I wanted to be able to use this to go over the things that I liked and to really give a sense of scale for everybody, so you can have an idea of what you are looking at when it comes to the footprint of the game. Because for me, that is one of the first bonuses, one of the first things that I really do like about it. And that is in every single one of the scenarios except for one in each of the 2 books, you are only ever going to use 2 tiles. In the other ones, they use a third. That's really not adding a whole lot of extra space. So your footprint here is very small. And in fact, in the second book, second set of scenarios, there are a couple that actually only use 1 tile to play. So again, your footprint is very, very small. Secondly, the thing that I'm sure you will notice is the thematically looking at this. This is very Turtles. They hit the theme perfectly here, especially when it comes to the team mentality of your Turtles, and we'll be getting into that a little bit more as I talk about another one of the things I like when it comes as far as the dice rolling. But they definitely hit everything wonderfully thematically. Everything looks fantastic. We have all of the correct characters. We have all of the Turtles we can play. We have a whole bunch of villains that we can play. Now, they did seem to split this game into 2 separate games where change is constant. This one seems to be more the good side. You have the Turtles in here. Later I'll be getting into the second game that they rolled out with this first adventure lines, and that was City Fall. And that one seems to be a little more on the villain side, and it has more of the like Shredder and Bebop and some of these secondary Turtles for yours. But for here, we're just looking at change is constant. We can see some of the things like our health chips here, how for the heroes and the villains they use pizza. I mean, it's just a counter that you can see on your card how much health they have, where a full pizza is 5 health and then these individual ones is 1 health each. But making them look for this game like pizzas, again, fits that theme absolutely perfect, and I absolutely love it. One of the other things that I really like about this game is that yes, you are rolling dice to give damage for movement for all your other things, but they do have stuff in here to augment that, where you have these focus chips, and each player is going to have a different amount of focus chips, and these focus chips allow you to either use a card from your deck, a special ability from your deck, or you can use it to re-roll one of your dice. Again, that's adding to that that dice mitigation, how they go to help you, and you get some of these for both the human player and the villain player. Speaking of the villain player, that is another awesome thing about this game. They give so many different ways to play this game, where your 2 main is competitive or cooperative. Competitive is where you will have up to 1 to 4 people playing the Turtles, and then 1 person playing the villain. That's where the competitive goes, the 1 versus many. And in there, you will see that you have actually different cards. Where here I have it set up for the cooperative go, where this is our AI board. But if we were playing competitive, the villains have a competitive one, and it looks very similar to the heroes, but instead of having dice, they have a deck of cards that you will build. And the way it works is in the instruction manual, it actually tells you which cards to use to build that deck and to shuffle it up. Once you've built it, you should always have 25 cards. So there are set rules, but so it kind of builds that deck. But again, it goes into that. There are so many different ways of play, to the point where also within the base, within the retail version that you will get, you have your 4 turtles plus Casey Jones. And since you will be playing up to 4 characters at a time, you'll be playing 4 characters at a time, having that 5th character in your base game gives you a ton of ability, ton of replayability, because you can throw Casey in for the different turtles and see how he fits in there, see how he changes everything. The other thing that I really like is the layout. When it comes to the scenario books, everything is written fantastically. They usually will give you a little bit of a comic panel, some art panel over here, maybe a little bit of lore going into it, but they'll give you all of their setup. They will give you all of their rules, and then they will actually show you the setup on the board. Giving big letters to show which tiles you're using, where everybody goes. The only thing that I kind of don't like is the tiles themselves. When they come to the numbers on them, they are here in the bottom left corner, but this is extremely hard to see. But again, that doesn't really matter all that much, because here in your book, you have very large, very big pictures. It is very obvious that, yes, I have, and see here, we can already see that I have pulled out. Oh, no, it says I haven't put the terrain down. I need to put 2 pieces of terrain. That's what I missed. But it goes to show, immediately, where things are, all the stuff that you're adding. So I can immediately see what everything looks like. And that helps a whole lot. Let's see. And then when it comes to the actual rule book themselves, this thing is written fantastic. I absolutely love this rule book. They go into great detail of showing you pictures of what all the things look like, a little brief description of what all the components do, how they function, and you can see for all of the components. Then they break down all of the different cards. So if you ever have a question, this is great to keep on hand, because it really does break down everything. And then it even goes to show the different tiles for whether you're playing that competitive or the cooperative for your villains. Everything is in here. Then they have 2 complete rule sets for the competitive mode, and then a few pages later for the cooperative mode. So they really do go above and beyond to make sure that you have everything that you need, that all of the stuff is in here. This is really well written. And I kind of like the way, the look of it, how it looks like a comic book. Again, it adds to that feel of the game. So what makes this game extra special, some of the unique features that I found for this game that helps elevate it to that next level. And the first one is this, and they are your turn order decks. Now this is if you are playing in the cooperative mode, so you're playing with the AI villain. You need to know what order everything goes in, and there is a order card for every character in the game. So you will just pull out all of the cards for what you're playing, shuffle those together, and then that is your turn deck. And then you just flip it and that person goes. And you'll just go through your deck and then keep shuffling and keep going in that order. So when you play this, even after you have played scenario 1 a couple times, you can replay this just because this deck will change. You never know the order in which things will happen in. So each time you play, it will be a little different. Additionally, again, because we have that fifth character, you can replay every scenario in this multiple times, changing our characters. That is absolutely fantastic. My next big plus is with the dice themselves that you are using for the turtles. This is one of the things that makes this game to me extremely unique, that I haven't seen anywhere else in any of the games that I have played thus far. And let's just go ahead, and here we have our turtles. We are going in this. Let's go ahead and move some of my guys out of my way. And I've kind of moved them this way so we can kind of go around like this. And let's just say these are what we have rolled. Well, each turtle doesn't have 3 dice. They actually have 5. Because Raphael, he doesn't only have his 3, but he has the right die from Mikey and the left die from Donnie. So when you roll, you roll the dice that you want, and then you place them in whichever order you want. And that order is very important, because you are going to want to look, like, let's say here, let's say Mikey has actually rolled that, and here is Raph. Well, Raph might want to make sure that he puts this movement die over here for Mikey. And of course, Donnie was the same way. He didn't get a movement either. But see here, Leo can throw him a movement that way. And see, and that is how everything helps. And notice he has multiple attacks, so we might want to go that way to give him that. So, and again here, so we can see the shield. He doesn't have any, so that's how we might want to do this. And he has none, so that might be an idea of what we might want to do here, because it is giving actions that weren't necessarily rolled for the turtles. It allows them to go this way. So again, Raph now has that, and Donnie technically has that. That adds again to that whole cooperative aspect to the game, where the turtles or your heroes that you are playing are here to help each other. So again, while you're doing it, when you're setting up your rolls, when you're determining which die you want to use, your roll matters, and then the order that you place them in matters. And I absolutely love that. Now, another one of the unique things about this game is the augment deck for your heroes. Each hero has a number of cards, and you will see here on their card, their deck. This is letting me know that Donnie can take 3 of these cards, so I can look in here and decide which of these 3 cards that I want to use, and then of course that lets me use one of these instead. That again is awesome. And notice they have a bunch of different cards. You have a bunch of different options that you are picking from. So again, that goes for that whole replayability, where let me try different things. And even in the scenario book, it'll do things, it'll change things, it'll change the difficulty level, because you will have things in here like a skill modifier, -1. So that means for all of my heroes here, instead of having 3, he actually is only going to get 2. He's only going to get 3, 1, 2, so forth and so on. And that is how they, one of the ways that they kind of change that around to, again, augment, some of the abilities that they have in the game. But again, because you're picking what you want, you have that little bit of a flexibility. You can change things up. That right there is awesome. And the fact that since they already have this, there is huge potential in here to add additional hero cards to give you more different options to be able to change them up even more. So you don't just have your dice roll that of course you can focus to change or to re-roll, but then you have your augment deck, which gives you a little more different abilities and each character has their own deck. Again, adding to that thematic feel to the game, adding to that replayability, adding to that customization ability that makes this game so fantastic. So let's talk about the components of this game really quick. In this case, I absolutely love them. The box is a little thin, but with the size and the dimensions, I think it holds up really well. I absolutely love it. And there is good storage for everything, with room for sleeves. But one of the things that it really does, especially with this bottom one, is these little indentions. And there are these little things that sometimes go overlooked when it comes to manufacturing games, and that really does help to get the cards out. I can't tell you how many games I have gotten where the box for the cards was just a little square. And even if they leave room in there for sleeves, it is still usually extremely hard to get them out. But by having these little indentions, I can pull these cards out without any issue whatsoever. And then here for the tray with the miniatures, the fact that it has this lid, and they even went to that next level of putting little indentions on the corners. So once you put it on, the lid actually locks in place without needing any kind of tape, without needing anything else, which is great because this miniature storage case does not hold the miniatures in. In other words, it doesn't kind of, have little connectors in there. The miniatures themselves come out extremely easy. There's nothing holding them in there. Why is that important? Because if you are a painter, if there are little things that are clipping the miniatures in there, every time you have to pop them out, you are rubbing that paint away. Here you don't have that issue. The only ones that I have kind of a problem with are the mousers, but that's only because these guys are so small. They can be a little hard to get out, but everything else in here is absolutely fantastic. Additionally, they give these reference sheets. There are 2 of each. These are nice. I don't think it's plastic or it's cardboard. It feels, smoother. It feels like, a plastic. I don't think it is though. But I really do like this. And, the fact that they've given you a couple of these to help remind you of some of the main key points of the game is also extremely useful. Additionally, when we look at the tokens and the boards, here, let's move this out of my way for a second. These are extremely thick, and with mine, because they are so thick, so sturdy, I have very little to any warping. You can see here I can flip those around, and there's a little bit of a gap there on that one, so that guy has maybe a little bit, but other than that, these are staying pretty well flush with each other, and that's just going to take a little bit. It's just going to sit there, and there's enough weight, and it's probably going to put that right back where it's supposed to be. But here we can take a look. I mean, that is a pretty thick, nice board, and again, they are all double-sided with the number of the board in the bottom corner. So you actually have quite a bit of terrain to go on. Now there is none of those, smaller boards. Every single board in here is the same, single, full double side. That gives them a little room for advancement and maybe future expansions, to where maybe they'll have where they can add, half ones, to make the board maybe a little larger. But here in the game, where almost every scenario only uses two boards, this works out fabulously, and it makes finding what you need easy because you're only looking for two things, and it makes your tabletop presence very manageable. Well, that is my review and take on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Change is Constant by IDW Games. I hope this review and overview has helped you to determine if this game is something that you would be interested in yourself. Basically, for me, it is a definitely must add to your collection. One, being that I am such a Turtles fan, that this was a known thing, a no-brainer that I'm going to be getting the Turtles game. But even if you are not, the whole Adventures Universal Game System is something to really keep in mind as you are considering this as it goes down the line, because as they keep adding more games to this system, like the upcoming Batman Kickstarter, the more things you have like this, the more content you have. So let's say instead you are the huge Batman fan and you wind up backing and going into the Batman Kickstarter. Well, if you then also have this, you are then actually elevating that game as well. So those two concepts for me, this being the Turtles game, the Universal Game System, and then just the uniqueness of the game itself, the way it is played, the dice mitigation that they seem to have put everything in here. The dice mitigation, the different ways you're rolling your dice, the way they are doing that cooperative team aspect in it, where you are giving your dice to your other teammates with the AI deck. So when you're playing, against the AI, and you don't know what order anybody's going to come in. You don't know, the order of the turtles or the villains. You don't know where they're going to come. I mean, you could just get slaughtered in the beginning. Have a whole bunch of villains just, attack you right off the rip, and then start off really, really low. Or you can come in, have a good, nice common start, or you can be able to have all of your turtles almost go first. There's just so much there that adds to the replayability of this game. That adds, just all of that, ups that replayability, ups that thematic view aspect of it, and it corrects some of the problems that some people might have with things like a heavy dice rolling game, where it has that dice mitigation in there. It has that customization aspects in there with multiple different heroes, multiple different cards for your hero deck, so you can pick different ones to bring in to change things up. They really have thought about everything. Well, that is everything I got for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Change is Constant. Once again, I hope this review and overview has helped you to determine if it is something you are interested in. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.